My name is Catalina, and at 35 years old, I never expected to hear those words. From my own mother. I was in the middle of my nursing shift when my phone vibrated with a call from my 10-year-old daughter Lily. Her voice trembled as she told me her key wouldn't work in the door to my parents' house where we lived. She'd been waiting outside for hours in the pouring rain. My stomach dropped as I signed out early and raced to my car. I had no idea that this moment would completely change our lives. I need to share what happened next. If you're watching this, please let me know where you're from and subscribe to hear how I turned this betrayal into my greatest blessing. To understand how we ended up in this impossible situation, I need to take you back a little. I've been a dedicated nurse at Memorial Hospital for 12 years now, working primarily in the pediatric ward. I love my job, even with its long hours and emotional challenges. It's always been Lily and me against the world, since her father Marcus walked out when she was only 3 years old. He decided family life was too restricting for his music career aspirations, and one day simply didn't come home. The divorce was quick but painful, and his child support payments were inconsistent at best before stopping completely 4 years ago. I managed on my own for a long time, renting a small 2-bedroom apartment across town. We weren't wealthy by any means, but we were happy in our cozy little home. Lily grew into a bright, curious child with a passion for art and science. I worked extra shifts whenever I could to make sure she had everything she needed for school and the occasional special treat. Our life changed dramatically 2 years ago when rent in our area skyrocketed and I faced unexpected medical bills after a minor car accident. I remember sitting at my kitchen table night after night trying to make the numbers work, but the math was relentless. I was falling behind and the stress was overwhelming. That's when my mother Alina suggested we move in with my parents. Their 4-bedroom house had plenty of space, and my father Robert was in the early stages of Alzheimer's. She framed it as a win-win situation. Lily and I would have financial stability, and I could help care for my dad when I wasn't working. Family should stick together during hard times, she said, her voice gentle in a way I hadn't heard in years. Robert would love to spend more time with Lily, and you could save money for your future. It seemed like the perfect solution. I agreed to pay a reasonable amount for rent and contribute to household expenses. We moved into the 2 spare bedrooms upstairs, and initially the arrangement worked well. Lily quickly developed a special bond with her grandfather, sitting patiently with him as he told stories from his youth, or helping him remember the names of birds at the feeder outside the kitchen window. What I didn't fully appreciate at first was how much my mother's controlling tendencies had intensified over the years. As a child, I had always known her to be strict and particular about how things were done in her house, but I thought I understood her expectations. Living under her roof as an adult with my own child proved to be much more complicated. It started with small comments about how I was raising Lily if I let her stay up 30 minutes past her bedtime on a weekend. My mother would remark about the importance of consistent sleep schedules. If I bought Lily a small toy after a difficult week, Alina would lecture me about spoiling children and the value of money. When you were growing up, we never indulged you children with unnecessary things, she would say conveniently, forgetting the many privileges my siblings and I had enjoyed. My brother Thomas and sister Valerie, who both lived nearby with their own families, always took my mother's side. They would nod along with her criticisms during Sunday dinners, occasionally adding their own observations about my parenting choices. Thomas, an accountant, frequently questioned my financial decisions, while Valerie, a high school teacher, had plenty to say about Lily's education and activities. You know, Mom just wants what's best for you. And Lily, Valerie would say. Whenever I expressed frustration, she's only trying to help. The tension grew steadily over the past 6 months. I had been saving diligently for our own place, putting aside as much as I could from each paycheck. The progress was slower than I wanted, but I was getting closer to having enough for a security deposit and first month's rent on a modest apartment. 3 weeks ago, we had a family dinner that felt different. Thomas kept mentioning how his colleague had finally stood on his own feet after going through a divorce, while Valerie talked about one of her students whose single mother had just purchased her first home. Independence is so important, my mother said meaningfully. Looking directly at me, don't you agree, Catalina? I nodded. Uncomfortably sensing the message behind her words, I noticed my father watching me with sad eyes, seeming confused by the undercurrent of tension. He had always been my greatest supporter, but as his condition progressed, he became less able to intervene in family disagreements. That night, Lily asked me a question that broke my heart. Mom, does Grandma wish we didn't live here? She whispered as I tucked her into bed. No, sweetie, I lied, stroking her hair. Grandma loves having us here, she just has her own way of showing it. I promised myself that night that I would double my efforts to find us a new home. I took on extra weekend shifts and started looking at apartment listings more seriously. I was close, so close to having enough saved up when everything fell apart in a way I never could have imagined. The day started like any other. I woke Lily at 6:30, made her breakfast and helped her pack her backpack for school. I had an extra shift at the hospital, which meant I would be working until 7 that evening, instead of my usual 4:00 end time. Remember to go straight to Grandma's. After school, I reminded Lily as I dropped her off. I made your favorite lasagna yesterday, so it just needs to be heated up for dinner. I know, Mom, she said with the slight eye roll that had recently become part of her growing personality. I'll text you when I get there. I kissed her goodbye and headed to work, completely unaware that our lives were about to be upended. The day was busy with a steady stream of patients. I barely had time for lunch, scarfing down a granola bar between checking on a newborn with jaundice and a teenager recovering from appendix surgery. At 3:15, I expected to receive Lily's usual text confirming she had arrived safely at her grandparents' house. When 4:00 came and went without a message, I sent her a quick text asking if she was home. No response. By 4:30,